Welcome back, everybody. The NFL season has kicked off. This is your three-man booth. Dan Salem, Phil, and Bud. Welcome, guys. Views from Section 323 podcast. If you want to hear the full version of our thoughts. Crazy week one. Crazy week one.
Something tells me we're going to have the censor button ready. I'm going to have it next to me tonight. That's just a thought.
Well, I'm not going to be censoring this episode, so if you're a child, stop watching.
I will do my best to control my emotions.
Yeah. So
it's been a couple of days, so I've had some time to reflect.
Good. So before we get into the Jets and the Giants, because both teams disappointed week one, more or less, I just want to put it out there. I feel like, half the teams lost, right? And half the teams won. And half the teams that are going to make the playoffs look pretty bad to start the season. It happens every year. And it's our job to try to guess who actually showed us who they really are and who didn't. And that was kind of my brother posed that question to me in our Spin Zone article this week, like, who's actually good and who is actually bad? I think we know who's actually bad. Miami looked absolutely unbelievable. They're tanking.
Did you see the article that said that Miami Dolphin players were calling their agents and requesting trades already?
I did. Immediately after that game ended, they were like, we can't sit through this for another 15 weeks.
So Lamar Jackson was 10 for 11, 400 and something yards and 5 touchdowns.
Yeah. That's unreal. He's not going to –
10 for 11. So our quarterback can't throw the ball more than 15 yards down the field.
Well, he wasn't playing Buffalo defense, who I actually think is going to be pretty damn good this season.
Did you see that? Did you see Baltimore ran a fake punt in the middle of the game when they're up like 30 points?
I didn't, but that's pretty.
They ran a fake punt. It was hilarious. It was absolutely hilarious.
As they should.
The takeaway is that if you have someone that's playing Miami, like the Patriots are this week, start them.
They're going to. Dan, the line is 18 right now.
Oh, I'd almost say the Patriots cover.
That's one of the. I think I remember a time back when we were in college, and Buffalo was just god awful. I think the Patriots were like 20-point favorites. It did happen before, but 18 points. You're right. I would take the Patriots at home in Miami or in London, wherever. I'd take the Patriots and lay the points every day.
They put up 33 points against the Steelers defense and made it look easy, and they don't even have Antonio Brown yet. Because the last time we did this, Antonio Brown was still on the Raiders.
It's freaking crazy.
So it's an embarrassment of riches. Everybody has to go to the Patriots.
Well, all we can hope is that it blows up in their faces. I actually thought the Steelers were going to be bad this season. They looked terrible. I can't imagine they're that bad, but I can't imagine New England's that good either. They just
no, they're going to be. Man, they're not going to lose a game this year. Maybe Kansas City has a shootout with them. They have one of the easiest schedules in the league. They're not. I don't think they're losing a game.
All we can hope is that both. So I'll use this to segue into the Jets game, because I think that the Jets and Buffalo Bills both have very good defenses, which is what we saw for about 3/4 of that game. Which is why it was like 16-0, but the Jets scored on 8 points off of defense. If those defenses are actually really good, then New England's going to have 4 challenging games. I don't know if they're both going to be really good all year or not, but at least we can think that maybe their division will give them a fight. But I agree. That's.
I will partially agree with you. Their defense played great for 3.5 quarters, 2.5 quarters.
Yeah.
When Mosley went out, the team completely forgot how to play defense, and in typical Jets fashion, they don't play defense in the fourth quarter, right? How many times do we have to watch this team blow fourth quarter leads? They're up 16-3 in the fourth quarter. They caused 4 turnovers. Do you know statistically teams that are on the road that turn the ball over 4 times lose 99% of the game?
I was watching the same game. I heard him say that. I heard him say it. And as soon as they said it, I go, oh, shit, the Jets are probably going to lose this game. You just jinxed them.
It was absolutely ridiculous watching that football game.
It will make you feel good to know that I never believed that they were actually going to, win. I never felt good about their lead. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing on our camaraderie here.
It goes to show you, and, part of this I blame on McCagnon because he was cheap and he should have signed the kicker. Yeah. And they didn't want to.
They just picked one up today.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. So they left 4 points on the board at halftime, and I was scared shitless because I'm like, this is Adam Gase's game. He wins by 2 or 3, and we just left 4 points on the field. And I guess it was the perfect.
If you didn't miss the extra point on the first touchdown of the game, you wouldn't have lost it. You would have went to overtime instead.
I know. Now, I hope Mosley's injury isn't serious. I haven't seen anything about it.
He's supposed to play on Monday, I think.
Okay, because the same thing happens.
Is probably not going to.
Who isn't?
Quentin Williams.
Oh, it says that is. I mean, he's been a rotational player, but that's a shame if he
ankle sprain.
Okay, so they're taking it slow with him, the rookie. I mean, Mosley, when he went out last year for Baltimore, same thing. The defense just like went from here to here, and I mean, he made us a force on defense that first half. Buffalo couldn't do anything. Now, neither could the Jets on offense. It was really a shame to watch. Now, Le'Veon Bell looked really good. I was extremely happy to see him running the ball well, being patient, finding his lanes. We didn't pass block for crap. And I do think Buffalo, they had a really good defense last year. And I think that they may have – they looked like a good defense this year. I don't know if that was a defensive struggle or if it was just two semi-bad teams and one of them happened to win by a point. I don't know yet. It's too early to tell. But
this has everything to do with the Jets blowing opportunities. Everything to do with it. Because they should have had this game wrapped up in the first half. That's how dominant defensively they were playing.
Yeah, I
agree. They moved the ball for 2 series, and that was it. They couldn't do anything else for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Jets' offensive line was terrible. He had no time to throw the ball more than 5 or 10 yards down the field. Everything went to Crowder on a short slant or to Le'Veon Bell. Anderson, non-existent.
Called that a fantasy, by the way.
So. It's one of these things. Like they sold us this bill of goods that it was going to be a new coach, new regime. It was going to be more disciplined football, which was bullshit because they had 18 penalties on them. All right, then you're supposed to be this offensive guru. You can't even move the ball. You can't move the ball 10 yards down the field. So, the Jets led the league last year in 3 and outs. If they keep this up, they're going to go the same. They're going to go the same route. Stop laughing at me.
No, I'm going to give you a couple minutes if you want to keep going. But I got to talk you back because if we're having the same conversation October 1st, I 100% agree with you. The fact that it's only week 1 and he's a brand new coach on a new team with Le'Veon Bell, who didn't even get to play in the offense until this week. I need to see more before I can make a judgment on his offense because I really do believe Buffalo is coming back in with a strong defense because they were top 5 last year, and they looked everything that is against the Jets. They made the Jets look one-dimensional, and that one dimension wasn't enough to beat them. They stopped everything but Bell, and it was definitely shut the team down. I mean, now this game, I'll give you this. This loss will totally hurt the Jets because if they have a hope of getting into the playoffs, it's going to be competing with the Bills for 9-7, 10-6 as that wild card. And this kills them. But it's early.
There was a lot of bad football in week 1. And a lot of that is the product of these players not playing in week 1. Put that aside, it's really difficult because these are things that, the coach comes out and he says, yeah, I'm not worried about the offensive line. We'll be fine. Wrong. He has no weapons other than – do you know that Jamison Crowder caught 14 passes, okay? 14 passes. In the history of the NFL, that's 100 years, okay? No player
Are you sure?
has ever caught 14 passes for less than 100 yards.
Until Crowder did?
Not your stat book. They suck.
All right. So that's how you feel this week. I respect that opinion. I want to segue to Phil because Phil's been pushing for months that this first – I agree with him. The first month of football is preseason football. And it sucks because it counts and because we have to live with it. But he's still feeling good about his Giants because of that.
Well,
I'm not ready to bail on the Jets either. I need to see more because I liked some of what I saw. Obviously, I wish they won. But I'm surprised Phil feels so good about the Giants because they got humiliated by a Cowboys. So I have to segue quick. We'll circle back.
I won't say I feel good. I definitely won't say I feel good because I don't feel good about what I saw. What I will say is all of us picked New York to lose against the Cowboys. Everybody in the media picked New York to lose the Cowboys. So it really wasn't a stretch that they lost. Yeah, they made it look a lot worse because as our friend said, it looked like they were playing Madden on easy. Everything wide open in the middle. Cooper in the middle. Gallup in the middle. Zeke didn't really play as much as he normally does because that's probably because he wasn't conditioned. That's fine. That's beside the fact. Dak had all day to throw. He threw over 400 yards with 4 touchdowns, as we've heard many, many times in the last 2 days.
Yeah.
That has to be fixed, and it has to be fixed real fast.
So quick question.
Yeah.
Are the Cowboys actually good because none of us liked them preseason, or are the Giants
Unfortunately,
defense just bad?
It hurts me to say this. They probably are pretty good.
Dak looked unreal.
He's playing for his contract. He's playing for that.
They probably are that good. They're touted as having the most well-rounded team on offense and defense. I really can't argue that at this point. So let's just say, for argument's sake, that's going to be the best defense we play all year, or whatever, offense and defense we play all year. My hope is that it only goes better from here. Their next 3 games are against Buffalo, which you guys played, then Tampa Bay, which Jameis Winston looks like, my God. We'll get to that in a second. Then they play who's their third game again? Oh, Washington. So I said a couple weeks ago, their first game is obviously tough, but the next 3 are easy. So if you get out of the first month 2-2, or God forbid 3-1, no one's going to really remember.
But I watched that Jets-Buffalo game, and there is no way the Giants are scoring on that defense. Like, Buffalo's defense, and they might. I don't know if I didn't watch the Dallas game, so I can't tell you, but they'll let Barkley run around, and then they're going to shut everything else down. I mean, Eli Manning is not Sam Darnold.
Well, if you listen to the announcers, you would think Van Der Esch and Sean Lee are the 2 greatest linebackers in the 100-year history of the NFL. It was nauseating. Oh, my God. Did you see it? I know you were – yeah, they're pretty good, but, I mean, it was just like –
I watched most of it at work. I mean –
So you heard the commentary, though. What I'm saying is, like, oh, they were, like, falling over themselves here.
But, Eli drove the ball right down the field the first drive of the game.
The first drive was
a glimmer of hope because you thought to yourself, okay, his arm looks pretty good. His arm looks good. Offensive line was protecting him. He was staying upright. And then, like, a light happened, and that was it.
Well, what happened is they only gave Barkley only touched the ball 15 times the whole game. 11 runs and 4 catches. That's not even close to enough.
Are they saving his legs for the playoffs?
His legs are tree trunks, dude.
Dude, did you see the commercial with Barkley in it the other day? There's a ESPN commercial with Barkley in it about his calves and his massive thighs. So look for that one if you haven't seen it yet. But anyway, Barkley's got to touch the ball more than 15 times. Amazingly, he turned 11 runs into 120 yards. So if you're going to have that kind of production, what's that, 10.9 yards a carry, you got to give him the ball more. Was that a product of they were down, so they were throwing the ball a lot? Probably. You got to give Barkley the ball more.
So I know it's our job to make this guess, and it's so hard to tell because last year the Colts were like 1-7, and then they went, or 1-6, and they won 10 straight or 9 straight, right? And I think someone started 4-0 last year. Was it the Redskins? And then they lost 7 straight.
Was it Miami 3-1 last year?
Yes. And then they tanked off. So there was at least a couple teams last year that came out of September really, really high, and a couple teams that were really, really low. And it completely flipped by the end of the year.
Yeah, week 1 is tough. Now, I just, as I'm wearing my Eli jersey, because I told you pre-show here, I feel like his days are starting to be numbered. Not to the fact that he didn't play well, because he was one of the best players on the field, aside from Evan Ingram and Barkley. He put up 300-plus yards, a touchdown, and he was sacked, by the way, one time. One time he was sacked the entire game. So that great Dallas pass rush that they've been touting for months, and they're going to keep touting for months, Eli was only sacked one time.
Well, that makes me question the Cowboys' defense because I'm not ready to believe in the Giants' offensive line just yet after one game. So if this was last year, he would have been sacked 7 times. He would have been Deshaun Watson last night. Deshaun Watson got sacked, 5 or 6 times last night? They tried to correct that, and they absolutely did not.
And not to mention, the best thing I saw this weekend was Mayfield getting his ass kicked all over that field.
Oh, I
love every second of that game. Every time he got sacked, it's a smile on my face because everyone wants to talk about Beckham and Landry and Chubb and Njoku and Mayfield who can't shut his mouth. He should be doing more time on the practice field than doing commercials. My God, how many commercials has he done so far? Their offensive line sucks. Absolutely sucks.
The Jets defense are going to eat them up in week 2. It's just
that's what I'm saying. I'm not. I know Bud says I'm crazy.
Their offensive line's bad. They're going to eat them alive.
And that's my point. I know Bud thinks I'm crazy for this. If the Jets play defense like against like they did against Buffalo for those 3 quarters, they're gonna Mayfield's gonna be running for his life.
Now a dose of reality. The Bills threw the ball I think, every single play for the first two series because they knew the Jets didn't have a strong secondary. And it was working until Mosley could get him in the linebackers into the backfield and get pressure. So if they can get the pressure, it's going to negate that. But if Mayfield can work that secondary, the Jets are going to be in trouble too. It's going to be a balancing act. So that's why if Mosley's playing, we're in pretty good shape. If he's not playing, I don't like our chances because, I mean,
I was not anticipating Cleveland laying an egg like that.
No, you're the captain of the bandwagon there. You're the driver of the bandwagon.
Yeah. Now it's early.
However, I still don't foresee this going well for the Jets on Monday.
Yeah,
listen. Josh Allen's fine. He's a good quarterback, and I wrote in my article that if they could control him and keep him in the pocket, he would make mistakes, right? And guess what? He did until there was no pressure on him, and he used his legs and he ran around and he's scoring touchdowns and he's bootlegging it himself out to the side. Nobody's on him, right? This is what happens. They cannot play mobile quarterbacks, and I think we would all agree that Baker Mayfield is a better quarterback than Josh Allen. He may not have had a better game, but he is a better quarterback.
Well, he's a better passer.
He has better weapons.
He's a better passer with better weapons on paper. Yet he didn't use them. Again, who did they play?
Tennessee.
Oh, and so I thought the Titans might get better this year, but the Titans don't impress me. And Marcus Mariota is not great. Like they just shredded him. I don't know what happened. So
Derrick Henry ran for 175 yards or something like that, didn't he?
Derrick Henry ran for 100 yards and he caught 2 passes for 75 yards and a touchdown. That's basically the outcome of the game.
You have to assume that Bell's going to do just as well. I mean,
I hope so because they got the Monday night game next week. They're on prime time. They're for the whole world to see. And if they come out and they lay a goose egg, or I'm not saying they're going to score 0 points. That's not what I'm saying. But
but I know what you're saying.
They come out and they look completely inept and disorganized, and they are penalties galore and all of this other stuff. You're going to start to see some heat. I mean, there's a real expectation for this team to be legitimate, at least somewhat wild card contenders this year.
You know what's funny?
If they don't play well, there's going to be a lot of pressure on the GM. There's going to be a lot of pressure on these coaches.
Yeah.
You tout Greg Williams as a defensive genius. When your best defensive player went down, you made no adjustments, and your team got run all over you.
Yeah,
all over you.
I completely agree. It's interesting because the Browns have the exact same situation where
who has more pressure on them though?
Well, Cleveland looked worse week 1.
No. I'm saying for week 2, who has more pressure? Yeah. No, there's no doubt it's Cleveland.
They're definitely the Browns. And I mean, so I liked that the Jets defense had an edge. Now, when Mosley went out, they lost that edge. But they had that edge. They had that fire. I could excuse the penalties. I felt like it was Greg Williams seeping through. But I completely agree with you. If they blow another fourth quarter lead or just gets run over, it's going to be trouble because Adam Gase refused to answer questions this week about the mistakes he made. Basically said, I can do whatever I want. And that is only true if you're winning. You're not going to let him off the hook if he's losing more. So,
but again, this whole new regime, and all I keep thinking to myself is it's Todd Bowles all over again. Undisciplined football, no offense, shoddy defense, fourth quarter blown leads. Tell me what the difference is between last year and this year. I know it's only week 1. I get it.
So
at the same time, this was a winnable game. You needed to win.
There's a subtle difference, and it might be because it's the beginning of the season. I could tell that the energy of the players was different, and I could tell that they had a real fire up until the point where the game turned, which is very interesting. And I don't know what happened. I feel like they all dialed it back because it was like, let's just hold the lead in the fourth quarter. I completely agree with you that they blew another lead and they looked completely undisciplined. And I'm tired of watching penalty-ridden football. It's ridiculous. It makes the game terrible.
So I have an interesting stat for you because I looked this up right before we started. I watched the Giants, all the Giants game and all the Jets game, and I watched pretty much all of both games last night.
Okay.
There are a ton of penalties being called, a ton. And it's borderline unwatchable at times because every play there's a flag. Now, you can have holding on every single play, technically in the NFL, right? But do you know that in week 1 of this year, there were 306 penalties called? 306.
Wow.
Last year, there was only 250. So you've seen an increase of 56 penalties called from week 1 of last year to week 1 of this year. That's a lot of penalties.
I mean, with the 16 games, so I mean, that's at least two. That's two or three per game. Easy.
Right. So speaking of penalties, but I know Tommy wasn't thrilled with this. What was your thought on the fact that they called the what was it, pass interference, or what was it on the Jets where they gave them?
So they reviewed the touchdown, then called it.
That's what it was.
A penalty.
That's what it was.
Because they missed it. Well, that's why the more penalties too, because they're trying to call them because they're up for review and they don't want to get dinged later to miss them. Like they missed the penalty. I agree, that was a real penalty. But
if the quarterback is considered a runner, can't the wide receiver block?
Yes.
Yes, but then he passed. He never crossed the line of scrimmage. So once he took the ball, it was an illegal receiver downfield, and that's like okay, that sucks.
But at the moment of blocking, he has to make a decision whether or not he's going to run or not.
Well,
so that's on Sam. That's on Darnold, though.
Yeah, I mean that's why it sucks. I mean, there's nobody did anything wrong. He should have passed it, and the guy should have
want to touch on anyway. Rules crap.
Yeah. Right. In the end, it didn't matter because that's. I think that isn't that the one that Bell scored on a couple plays later anyway.
Yes,
right. So, but again, in the end, it didn't matter. But I
just
wanted to bring that one up.
When they do review a play, they're reviewing it for everything and can call any penalty they missed, which might be why they're calling more penalties.
Did they have any of those non-pass interference calls challenged? I don't think there was.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, there will be, but I don't think there were any.
Did you watch the Jets Buffalo game, Phil? Because what makes you?
So because of where I am, and normally when the Patriots are on at the same time, I'll get the Patriots up here because I'm in Upper Connecticut. But yes, I watched pretty much. So I had the Jets game on my big TV, and then I had the iPad with Red Zone going. Then I had my phone with something else going. I'm like, I had everything going.
So what makes you feel good about the Giants against the Bills? Then I'm intrigued. We'll keep talking week 2 now.
Hopefully, my God, hopefully they look at that tape and say, holy crap, we just got to put another defensive back in the middle of the field and stop these wide open things. Now, the problem with the Giants defense is they're very young. They're still learning on the fly. I personally don't like the fact that they got rid of all these practices. I know the players wanted it, but this is why first week and second week and third week of NFL sucks because there's no time to practice. So if you get a whole new unit of guys, it takes a couple games or 3 or 4, maybe more than a couple, to gel. It's just they're a young defense. That's the problem. And there was a lot of mental mistakes. There was a lot of missed assignments. I don't know how fast you can clean that up in a couple of days, but it was clear as day what the mistake was.
Well, they're going to have to stop Singletary because once Buffalo started handing him the ball, he looked good. And I have him in fantasy, so I was psyched. Like, he still put up decent points.
So it wasn't Zeke and Pollard together only rushed the ball for 89 yards. So it wasn't the run. It wasn't the run game that killed him. It was the passing game because Dak was just throwing zingers all over the place to wide open. Why are you going to run the ball when you don't have to?
Yeah. When Buffalo's receivers aren't great, but they could be. So I guess we'll see.
And so it's just I'm trying to be cautiously optimistic that I'm not ready to jump ship yet. It's week 1. Like you said, the bad teams may have had a good game. They don't know that they're bad yet. The good teams that lost are going to be good, and they'll fix it in the coming weeks. It's if they lose the next 3 or 4, then you can sound the alarm.
Well, this is good. Let's keep talking week 2 because my brother threw the Giants in on the bad teams, and he's a Giants fan, and I think he's just pessimistic. But both the Saints and Texans.
Well, you can't argue with the outcome of what we saw. I can't argue with that. I'm just, I got to find something good here.
No, I agree. I think it's too early to punt on the Giants. I mean, I kind of thought they'd be an 8-8 team this year with a potential to go better. And, losing week 1 doesn't negate that, especially if Dallas is actually good.
And we all picked them to lose against Dallas. So I wasn't that upset about it because, going in, I kind of knew they were a full touchdown underdogs as it was.
So I want to talk about New Orleans, Texans because
what a game that was.
Those are 2 playoff teams in my opinion, but they didn't play much defense against one another. Is it just because they got great offenses? I mean,
I would disagree with that. I think I think the Saints defense played really well. They went up 21-7, and then the Saints kind of buckled down, and they played really well. I mean, Deshaun Watson made 2 incredible throws.
Yeah.
At that last drive of the game. I mean,
it was a 2-play drive.
It was a 2-play drive. DeAndre Hopkins' catch on the sideline was unreal. And the pass that he made under pressure down the middle of the field made me think that that's what my quarterback should be doing.
Yeah.
But he can't do it.
Well, he needs time to throw the ball. But I guess Watson didn't
have any time to throw the ball, and he's still making 45-yard passes in the air to receivers. And, but that aside, you gave Drew Brees way too much time. He's too good. And that it was an unbelievable game to watch.
Yeah.
It really was.
I was actually rooting for overtime because I had, Kamara, and I'm a little behind in my fantasy. So I was rooting for overtime. If the guy doesn't fall into the kicker there like he does when they miss the extra point, that game's going to overtime.
So fantasy, I lost by 5 points. My kicker and my defense sported goose eggs.
Well, there you go.
I was rooting against Kamara because I was playing him, and he did well for me, but not well.
You must have had Matt Bryan on Atlanta because he put up a goose egg.
I had Atlanta and I had the Cleveland defense. Yep.
That's good.
It was unfortunate. But Sammy Watkins and the Chiefs.
Now the question is, are you going back to the well and playing the Cleveland defense next week?
Oh, absolutely not. I already dropped them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, I went for somebody else that actually scored a couple teams scored 25 points and were on the waiver wire. So who did I grab? Oh.
Hey, any team that's going to play.
You should pick up whatever defense is playing Miami.
And Tampa Bay.
Patriots, they're not available. I don't know who's Tampa play this week. I mean, they
play Carolina on Thursday.
They looked decent because I don't think the 49ers are great though, but they just couldn't keep the ball in their own hands.
So do you envision Josh Rosen playing this week? Because I don't know if they've announced their starter or is it going to be Fitz? Because Fitz was not the reason why they lost.
No, but I mean, he didn't really do anything.
Their defense couldn't stop anybody.
Right. But Fitz threw a pick or two. I mean, I don't know why you would start Fitz over Rosen because let Rosen play. He either wins the starting job or he looks good and you can trade him, or he's bad and he's bad. I mean, I don't know why you keep him on the bench. What do you have gained by playing Fitzpatrick? They're tanking. I don't get it.
Miami, it accomplishes nothing for Miami to tank because they have so many things that they need.
Well, they also are gathering.
Nobody is going to want to go play for them. They're
no, but they are tanking though. They traded away every veteran of value.
But what I mean is that it doesn't matter. I mean, so say they get the number 1 pick, right? They're probably going to go quarterback. They'll probably get Tua, or they'll get that kid from
that's
LSU or something like that. The quarterback, but it doesn't help the defensive line. That is awful. It doesn't help their secondary, which can't stop anybody.
But that's the sales pitch, right? That you get to come play with the new hot rookie. I mean, that's going to be.
Well, they're also stockpiling draft picks, so they're not going to build through free agency. They're going to build through the draft from the ground up.
Well, but
they don't have choice.
I don't know why. If they played Rosen and he looked decent, they could trade him before the deadline for a couple extra picks. Freaking Nick Foles went out. The Jaguars need a quarterback, but
they just traded for the backup quarterback for the Steelers.
Pittsburgh, yeah.
Well, how about that? That hurt Jacksonville. That AFC South. I mean,
we didn't even talk about Demaryius Thomas as a Jet now.
Oh, that's good. They need a veteran presence. I mean, I don't know if he's going to bring anything, but at least they'll bring some veteran leadership.
Both of you are loco. Let me hold on. Let me get this straight. The Patriots, who are stacked to the nines, just give the bottom feeders, they're trash. All right. Oh, and by the way, we have to give up a valuable asset for the future of a team that we have to play twice a year.
This is a 6th-round pick. How many of our 6th-round picks have panned out?
Tom Brady was the last pick of the draft, dude.
How many 6th-round picks by the Jets have planned out?
It's Bill Belichick. He makes garbage look like gold.
All I'm saying, so Thomas was really good a couple of years ago, and then he's gotten injured and he's rolled around. I'm not expecting him to do a lot on the field, but he should be able to knock some sense into Robbie Anderson, who was non-existent, to Quincy Enunwa, who's trying to come back from injury. He's been good. Like, he brings something to the team that was missing.
But where are they? But Dan, where are they playing him? They have Enunwa, Anderson, Crowder. Where are they playing?
That's what I think.
Bellamy. You got 5 legitimate wide receivers then?
He's insurance because I don't think Bellamy. I think Anderson's on notice. I mean, he's playing for a contract and he didn't show up. So
I know the reason. He's an informant. How many times when the Patriots let somebody go and we're all like, "Wow, that's a weird move. Why is it?" It's probably because they're no good anymore and he has no use for them.
Yeah. Well, also, so this was the Patriots hadn't traded with the Jets yet. So Belichick had traded with every team but the Jets. So he finally completed the circle and traded with every team in the NFL.
So that was my thought. Like, wow, the Patriots made a trade with the Jets. Because as Bud says, Belichick loves to screw with the Jets. He loves to beat them.
Made them be last. He made them be last.
I have useless knowledge for you. And because I'm a useless human being, I have this. When was the last time the Jets and the Patriots made a trade?
It was before Bill Belichick, so it was
clearly
over 10 years ago.
Okay.
Or more than that.
If either of you get it right, I'll Venmo you $100.
Did they? The Jets traded with the Patriots to get Curtis Martin, right?
Okay, that's wrong, but good guess. Bill?
Well, I'll throw. If you're gonna give me $100, I'll say 1982.
Okay,
no. Curtis Martin was 98, 99. It's got to be like right before Belichick came in 01.
It's a trick question. The last trade that the Jets made with the Patriots was for Bill Belichick.
Oh, okay.
Damn.
They
still have $100?
No, because that wasn't 82.
I don't even have $100. So.
He doesn't even have $100.
I have to ask Lori. Yeah, that's the last time they made a trade because they had to get a compensation pick for him to go coach them. And remember, he had to sit out a year.
That is a really good trivia question because no one's going to think the coach. It's good. And then so they traded for Belichick, and then Belichick never traded with them until today.
19 years later, and 6 Super Bowl rings and 9 appearances.
He has no reason to hate the Jets for either. It's just spite.
Leon Hess isn't even alive anymore, dude. He didn't like Leon Hess. He's been dead for 20 years.
Well, the owner after him isn't even there anymore. He handed off to his brother. Any other week 2 predictions? I mean, I don't really like the 49ers. I'm waiting for them to crash and burn.
They had a couple picks on Jameis Winston. I'm not sold on them either. Kittle did not perform. I'm hoping that changes because.
Yo, your Super Bowl pick, the Falcons. Do you think they're going to turn it around?
Man, they looked like crap, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. That's after giving Julio Jones a massive contract, too, by the way.
Vikings look great, and he only had to throw the ball 10 times.
So it might be the Vikings' defense is just really, really good.
Yeah, that could be, too. So if the Falcons come out next week and put up a 30 spot, you're not going to remember how crappy they played in week 1. It's going to be irrelevant. So for all these teams, you need 3 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks.
Hold on. We all liked the Eagles. I'm playing a suicide pool, and they were down 21-0. And I'm like, come on, please come back. Please come back. I figured they would, but.
You and half the country.
Well, so I don't know about the Eagles. I mean, I don't think the Redskins are.
They'll be
not bad. I mean,
they'll be fine.
Yeah,
they will. They will be fine.
But is Washington actually a team to contend with?
No.
But I don't think so either. But I will say this: that Casey Keenum didn't play bad.
No, he didn't.
He didn't play bad.
But now you got. You're right, but now Darius Geis is out with something with his other non-surgically repaired knee. They have to reactivate Adrian Peterson again.
But that's fine. Adrian Peterson can play, dude. He ran for almost 1,200 yards last year.
Yeah. That's last year.
But the guy can still play. Listen, they're gonna be bottom dwellers anyway. He's gonna.
So when does Haskins play then?
After they're eliminated from the playoffs or mid-October.
Yeah. And I'll say it again later, but we're not gonna debate this because Daniel Jones is not starting week 2, nor should he. He only came in the game because the game was in hand. You might as well give him a couple of reps. Again, Eli had nothing to do with that loss, by the way.
If they got a winning record, he'll stay on the bench. If they have a losing record, he'll be in on mid-October.
Yeah. I'm all for giving him reps when the situation calls for it. I'm all for that.
I agree. That game was over. Oof, crazy football.
I think that the Packers defense is for real. or do you think that was just a product of the two first teams playing the first game of the year? Neither offense really looked great. Aaron Rodgers didn't look super great.
No.
Or because last year the Packers defense was so bad, and the Bears defense was really good, and the Bears offense was pretty decent. Or do you just think that it was just a product of first game and that's that?
So
I think it has more to do with the first game.
Yeah, Thursday night football is traditionally bad, anyways. So, but I thought the Bears might take a step back. That kind of I don't think either team is as good or bad as we might think they are. I think that's a phony.
I think the Bears are going to be better than what they showed. I think Trubisky didn't play a single snap in preseason, not a single one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he was just trying to get a feel for things. He didn't make good throws, especially that last throw in the end zone.
So is the only truth from week one is that the Patriots are scary? Because I mean they weren't good last September, and then they obviously went on to win the Super Bowl. So maybe this is a good omen that they start so hot. But
they looked so good. Their defense looked awesome.
Yeah.
And traditionally, it's the offense, and the defense just kind of flutters there, right? Their defense looked like nobody could move the ball on them.
I don't want to read too much into any games in September, but that I pray that the Patriots have some sort of setback because I can't stand them being in the Super Bowl again, let alone winning it.
My thought is, if it keeps Dallas out of a Super Bowl championship, I am all for letting the Patriots win again. I'm just going to call it like I see it.
No way. No, they've been in 3 of 4 and won 2 in a row. Come on. No, we can't have them end with a trifecta. Maybe that finally gets from Brady to retire, but no, we can't have it. Can't do it.
From my standpoint, I can't stand if Dallas wins the Super Bowl. So give me any, except for Cleveland. I don't want those two teams winning the Super Bowl. Any other team is fine. I don't care.
All right.
I'll tell you right now, if it's Patriots and Cowboys, I will be sporting a Tom Brady jersey that day.
Anybody with the Patriots, please. Anybody.
You can't root for Dallas. You can't do it. That organization is you can't do it.
I will be if they're playing the Patriots. Okay. Well, you guys got more in your Section 323 podcast, and you're writing plenty of good stuff on BuzzChomp. This is fun. Hopefully we got positive stuff to talk about next week.
Let's hope so.
All right. Until better football.
Thanks for watching BuzzChomp.
Subscribe and share.
Subscribe and share.
Subscribe and share.
Share.
Woo.